So it looks like Jerry Berry says, do you still use CTR tools like CrowdSearch? When he says CTR is click-through rate tools, guys, I've called that CTR spam or click-through rate spam. And no, I don't use those anymore because at least there might be some better apps now, but the one that I had used a lot, which was CrowdSearch, they were using commercial proxies, and that ended up, basically just being disregarded entirely by Google. It worked like gangbusters for damn near 2 years. I mean, it worked incredibly well for a couple of years, but then it started to just basically not work. And there were some ways that you could manipulate it. You brought that up in your question. He says, would it still be effective if pointed to tiered sites like WordPress.com or the gsite? And there was a period of time where it stopped working well for driving traffic directly to, or click-through rates directly to the website, but it was still working quite well if you set it up for referral traffic. In other words, you would send it to, like, say, for example, an indexed tweet URL, and then it would click through to the tweet URL, and then it would click the URL in the tweet, right? The link in the tweet that would go to the money page. And that worked quite well for a while, but then that stopped really working as also. Now, I haven't tested any CTR bots in at least 2 years. And the reason why is because we've talked about this many times here on Hump Day Hangouts, but you can buy traffic, real, genuine traffic from Google for very, very inexpensive if you're using display ads, so the Google Display Network, YouTube. I've been doing a lot of testing the last almost 3 weeks now with YouTube for generating leads for local businesses using YouTube ads. And when you get your targeting right, your audience targeting right, you can get really inexpensive clicks, not just views. I've always talked about using YouTube ads for views. It was more, every time I've ever talked about YouTube ads, I was talking about it more being more for local stuff, being more about branding, right? Getting that brand name in front of people over and over again as an indirect lead generation method. What I mean by that is, in the past, I was never really successful at getting a lot of clicks from the videos to a landing page that would convert, or calls directly from the, like, so in other words, like calls to request an estimate or whatever directly from the YouTube video. So my conversion rates from the videos themselves were very, very low, if not, or almost non-existent. And so clicks, the cost per click was rather high. Cost per view could be dirt cheap, which is why I'd always set them up with the intent of them being branding campaigns as an indirect lead generation model, which means if somebody sees your brand name over and over, it's just like TV advertising, right? You see the ad over and over and over again for, like, let's say a tree service company. And then when that person finally is ready to have trees trimmed, or they got a tree that needs to be removed from their yard or whatever, they think, oh yeah, I keep seeing this ad from this, tree company, I'm going to call them. And they go to Google and search that name, and then click through and go to the landing page and submit the form or make the phone call. And that's great. That works really well. And that's what I've been doing for several years with YouTube ads now. But, when you get the audience targeting right, you can actually generate very inexpensive clicks and in conversions as well. And that's what I've been really refining. I'm going to be doing potentially a training on that that we'll launch under Semantic Mastery at some point in the next few months. I'm really, really pushing on that hard. To get back to your question, though, you can buy very inexpensive traffic that's genuine users from identified audiences, right? It's either stock audiences or audiences that are already available in Google and the display network and YouTube. It's also a new type of ad out, or it's newer. It's called discovery ads. I haven't started testing that yet, but it's on my to-do list. And again, you can use audiences that are already available, predefined audiences inside of Google Ads, right? There's in-market audiences, which are great. Those are for people that are actively engaged in seeking out information about products or services. That's why it's called an in-market audience, because those people are likely in the market for those products or services. That's what I've been using for several years now, is in-market audiences, which, by the way, they keep adding more and more in-market audiences. Life event audiences are also similar to that. But I've more recently been testing what's called custom audiences, where you can set your own criteria and tell Google to start filling a bucket with people that meet this criteria. And then you can advertise to people in those buckets. And so especially when you're dealing with like local stuff, guys, you can buy traffic from YouTube or from the Google Display Network for very, very inexpensive. I mean, very inexpensive, probably about the same cost that you would be paying for a click-through spam bot, right? A monthly subscription. So I don't know what the monthly subscriptions go for those anymore because I haven't used them in several years. But I've got YouTube ads campaigns or display network ads campaigns that I run for, well, some YouTube ads campaigns I run for as little as 50 cents per day. That's $15 a month. Display network, I tend to try to run around $3 a day minimum. If it's for a client, I run $10 a day. But for, for my own stuff, like a lot of times I'll run $3 a day. So it's $90 a month. So if you have, between display network and YouTube, $5 a day is $150 a month. And you've got genuine traffic from Google, Google users with real profiles, real search histories, real interests. And if you set your geographic targeting, now they're going to be clicking through in the exact areas that you want. Whereas CT spam bots don't really give you that option, at least not as granular as to set it. Like with ads, you can set it all the way down to a zip code level. So again, I know that was a long-winded answer, but I think that's a good question. And I don't think it's necessary to use those tools anymore when you can buy real traffic from real users that are likely to convert because you're targeting the proper audience. Your message is relevant to them. And when they click through, there's a chance that they could convert, but it's the signal that you're buying for SEO purposes as well. So just to be clear, like what I'm doing with YouTube ads for local lead generation right now, I'm driving to a landing page that's not even, it's a subdomain of my primary website. So I'm not doing it for the SEO benefit. I'm doing it specifically because I'm trying to refine the method so that I can start using YouTube ads to generate leads for local. But if you're running traffic to like the main money site, then, that's really, really good traffic signals that you're buying because it's from relevant audience. They're likely to dwell on the page or click through to another page or even convert. And that's a hell of a lot better than some spam bot that's going to visit your page with no search history, no interest history, and all, a whole bunch of random searches and all that kind of stuff. It's not weighted as heavily, if that makes any sense. And again, you can probably buy traffic. I don't know what CT spam bots cost anymore. I haven't looked into it in a while, but you can probably buy traffic from Google directly for about the same cost that you would be paying for CT spam bots. And you're buying real, genuine traffic. Any comments on that, guys?
Yeah, we're looking for art, right? Activity, relevance, trust, and authority. Unfortunately, the CTR bot, that click-through rate bot, it establishes some activity, some relevance, but that trust and authority is missing. The trust and authority element, because they're not going to convert. No bot is ever going to convert unless you get the bot really good at going through filling out your contact form. And I think someone is working on that currently, which is still not going to make you any fucking money. So all you're going to do is spend money. However, the signals that would send when that person is finishing whatever goal you set for that person to finish on your website is when it would work. Now, right now, as we speak, the CTR doesn't complete it. Those bots don't complete it. The ones who do are people who you send to your website, whether it's through organic traffic or through paid traffic like you're talking about. And we limit ourselves to just Google and YouTube because they're Google properties and they work so well. Google is sending us their people, but you could have the same effect and you could create even more variety if you were to, for example, run ads in Pinterest for pennies on the dollar. Also Facebook, our ad does that all the time, pennies on the dollar. Instagram is another one. I mean, just think about it. LinkedIn, you can run ads, and you could be running these ads and people into your landing page where some of these people are bound to convert. Yeah. Give them an email opt-in form so that they can go into your email marketing campaign so that you could then hit them up with offers for whatever it is that they were interested in. They were interested enough to give you the email address. So then you hit them up through email and get them back. So that's going to be seen as people coming back on your website. That adds another layer.
Don't forget the remarketing list too.
You're adding a remarketing list. You're adding all of these different things so that you can then show Google, hey, I got people that are trusting me. I'm getting them back. And that's a much better signal than just getting a bot in there that never finishes, never accomplishes what you set out for the bot to do.
Yeah, and to expand on what Marco just said, that in itself to me is worth buying real traffic, is because if you've got a remarketing, in Facebook it's retargeting, but in Google it's remarketing. And if you have remarketing, tags on your site, then you can build a remarketing list. So now you can remarket to those visitors. They're real, genuine visitors. If you are trying to do remarketing and you're running spam traffic, like CTR spam traffic to a site, you're going to be filling your remarketing list with people that are with basically bots and stuff like that. So to me, like that would be, I don't know that you're doing remarketing, but if you're not, why not? To me, remarketing is like an absolute, it's a must. It's required now, in my opinion. And so even if the traffic that you're buying isn't ready to purchase now or become a lead or whatever your conversion goal is, they may very well be in the future. And if you've got them on a remarketing list, you're going to keep that brand name in front of them. And that's the other thing is, remember, repeat traffic, return visitors is also a great SEO signal. So by remarketing to real, genuine people instead of to bots, then it's likely that they're going to come back and they will have already been cookied anyway. So Google's going to know that now you're getting return visitors, right? So again, it's just a lot of benefits of using paid traffic, especially from Google audiences. It's incredible what you can do with Google Ads now, guys. It's gotten, even just from just 6 months ago, it's gotten a lot better. The audience targeting and such is just really, really good now. It's becoming incredibly good. So.